One of the interesting things when you look at the federal regs um, is that there's a list of vulnerable populations that the federal regs say if an IRB reviews a trial and the trial involves particularly vulnerable populations, and the populations it lists are prisoners, people with mental disabilities, people who are illiterate, pregnant women, that you look at that list and you scratch your head and you say, how is it that a woman at the moment of conception becomes parallel to somebody with mental disabilities? That why is it that prior to the moment of conception, she was not a vulnerable person, and now that she has conceived, she is? And this notion that it changed women in some way is both odd and disturbing. But obviously the women don't change. The sense was you can't trust these women. And because after all, any woman who decides to have an abortion must be wanton and uncaring. So the fetal research restrictions are part of the reaction to thinking that, oh, now women are just going to go out and have abortions. What do they care, And it's weird. It's like bizarre view of women and women's rights. So, just prior to that, in the 60s, was I don't know if it's the invention, but certainly the wider distribution of effective birth control, oral contraception. And so you had oral contraception, and then you had abortion, and it was like now women were in charge of their sexuality. People didn't really care for that very much. And the idea was how to clip away at it. This is one way of doing that, is saying that these heartless women, shouldn't have a say about what happens to their fetuses or to give up their fetuses in some way. So what's part of that? There was really no evidence that any fetus was abused in the United States or elsewhere, or that anyone has an interest in abusing fetuses. Massachusetts passed a special fetal research statute, which was almost incomprehensible when it was written. I had worked on that and worked with the legislature to try to make it more comprehensible. Um, and the legislature ultimately didn't make it more comprehensible. They just created a procedure by which researchers could go to the district attorney and ask for the district attorney's blessings. As far as I can tell, no one pays any attention to it anymore. But it was a piece of the times that you had a very anti-abortion legislature, that there was a very Catholic legislature and very Catholic, devoutly Catholic DA who tried to put Ken Edelin behind bars. That was all part of that scene. And you had a very powerful Catholic Church lobby in Massachusetts at that time. And so you have those sort of social forces come to bear. And it's interesting to see that the most forceful regulation of research, even when you look at the research regulations today, is to protect fetuses, not to protect children. That fetuses are much more protected than children are under the regulations.